dead come
Come
knocking.
knocking. That's it. Here, let me read the one. This actually, ChatGPT made this one up. It says Glenn and Maggie are captured and tortured by Merle and the governor in Woodbury. Sigh. Glenn endures brutal interrogation but refuses to reveal their group's location. Meanwhile, Michonne arrives at the prison with baby formula and is taken in by Rick and Carl. She informs them about Glenn and Maggie's capture, prompting Rick, Daryl, Michonne, and Oscar to plan a rescue mission. I mean, that leaves out some details, but it's enough to jog people's memory, I would say.
Would you say it's better than the Wikipedia summaries?
This one was super short and even less descriptive. It wasn't good.
Yep,
That's why I use ChatGPT instead. But sometimes they're usually pretty good, I would say.
I'll have a look. I'll talk to some people. I literally just got back from like the big wiki conference, so yeah, maybe I could shake some hands, or just edit it. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, just change it to the dead came knocking.
Yeah.
I I usually do use it, but this time it was just a bit short. So, what'd you think?
I really liked coming back to this episode. With season 3, there's so many things that I've forgotten that when I see them again, they make me very happy. Little moments, little character beats. There were parts of the episode I found quite boring. Like I find Milton's science experiments really dull. But there were other parts of the episode that I really enjoyed. There were other parts I found challenging. Like I don't love torture generally, so that was quite difficult. But I do like Rick and Michonne. So,
Yeah. I hate torture, but Merle's such a fucker that it's easier for me to accept, Yeah, of course Merle's going to torture somebody. He's an asshole. He's racist, druggy asshole. And, I mean, he gets more complicated this season. And of course, and I feel some sympathy towards him at times, but for the most part, not a good person. And so if he's going to be torturing someone, then it's more like, yeah, par for the course with him. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and enjoy it or anything, but it won't be as disturbing as when I see someone like Daryl or somebody that's supposed to be a good guy torturing. Then it's like, oh no, I don't want that,
I think that's fair. I think that is a fair assessment.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like when we glamorize violence, and it's so weird because a lot of the shows I love are dark and violent, but there's just this line I feel like cross sometimes where we're supposed to revel in it, and I don't like that. I like it better if there's someone that's good and they're being violent, then I want it to feel like they did it because it was necessary, not because they thought it was cool or something.
Yeah. There's one exception for me in this episode to that rule, but generally I agree with you.
Oh, do you want to say it now?
Yeah, but I mean, thinking about it, I think you're talking about violence against other humans rather than violence against zombies.
Yeah, I am, but now I'm even more intrigued to know what the heck you're talking about.
Oh, Glenn's scene. Glenn taking down that Zed.
Oh, that was fucking badass.
That is so cool. Yeah. And I remember really vividly reading an article about this at the time, about the power of having Glenn in that scene and how it moved Steven Yeun as a Korean American actor into a more action hero mode, or like it was something, I'm sure it was about embracing, I think the article called it Asian anger, which I think, that's a bit, it's like saying black jobs, for example. It's a loaded term, but the article was very much about, it reminded me a lot actually of what we go on to see in him do in Beef and the kind of rage of that particular series.
Just having someone who's Asian where maybe there's been a lot of stereotypical portrayals of what subservient an Asian is.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce Lee's in there. Sort of bucking that back in the 70s. But anyway, then you get to see someone just playing happens to be Asian, but playing a full character with all different shades of humanity is cool.
And it is one of the best zombie kills of the show, I think. It's so good. It's so good. That so violence good. I can get on board with.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And that's one thing about zombies that's interesting. If you play video games, there suddenly were like zombie add-ons to a bunch of these like war games and stuff. And that sort of, it's interesting because it gives you license to feel good about violence because they're just monsters, but you're really just, it does feel a little bit disturbing to me sometimes if you see Call of Duty and you're just blowing all these people away, but they're zombies, so it doesn't matter. but just put that aside. I mean, yeah, I agree with you totally. That scene is just so cool, and it's, I think, one of Glenn's standout scenes of the whole series, which is saying a lot because he's one of my favorite characters, you know.
But he just
so when I figured out, oh, this is that episode, that's what got me excited to watch it again. Yeah. The one where he breaks the chair apart and fights the zombie with it.
Oh, and that moment where he just like so roars at the end of it, like, oh, it's just so good. So good. Oh, when it's all that it was so good because this room it's like a dungeon with this like rough hewn stone on the side and dimly lit and all like just a bunch of detritus in there. It's just perfect. The staging of it, everything was perfect about the scene. And then what I love about that moment in particular, you see this badass fight and then it's over and it's quiet just for a beat. And then he screams. Like, you had to get that out. Just to get that tension out. It's so good. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, I love that. All right. So we're doing something different this time. All right, we might try this for a little while just to sort of try and experiment and also ease the load a little bit on me and Lucy. So we're trying where only one of us is like fully prepared with organized notes and the other one would, I guess, just, we'll see how it goes, but just give like color commentary. So this week is my week.
And so every week we're going to make up stuff that didn't happen in the shows.
And that's all we're going to talk about.
Haha.
We're going to test you.
Yeah.
Later. We'll add a scene and see if you recognize that it was bullshit.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. I mean, we might. I
might.
But, you might. I could see that. So I'm just going to go through my points and you just chime in whenever.
Let's do it.
So Merle and Glenn, we just talked about it. It's so good, exciting, thrilling, captivating, great acting by both actors.
Definitely.
I think I appreciate Rooker more now than I did back then. He's just having so much fun with it. And one thing I really like, it's so weird to say you like this, I don't like racism at all. He uses another slur for
he does
T-Dog.
He really does.
I want to say it. And I don't like that. But what I like about it is they don't soften Merle.
No.
And I feel like they're trying to soften Negan by saying, oh, that stuff he did back then, he didn't really mean it. It was just a facade. But with Merle, they're keeping him Merle. And I appreciate that, you know? I mean, he's a despicable fucking person and he's owning it. And Rooker's in there owning it and just playing it to the hilt. And I admire him for that, you know?
Yeah, he's the perfect actor for that. He just sells it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he added all that in. No, I'm just kidding.
He's like, I brought my own colorful swear words from the 1950s.
No, but so he says to Glenn, you don't even know why you're here, do you? I didn't mean you no harm. I lowered my gun, but you raised yours. And like I was saying last week with Karen, she
who was brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, she was good. She's getting compliments too. If you're listening to this, Karen, you've gotten some compliments.
As was Jim. I feel I should also say Jim was very good.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying listening. I always enjoy being a listener again. What can I say? I'm still a fan.
Yeah, it's fun. I'll have to drop out on one of these and just be able to listen. But I kind of believe Merle. That's what I was saying last week, that maybe if Glenn would have lowered his gun too, then things would have gone differently. And I think, well, I was trying to figure out, actually, you know, Merle found Michonne and Andrea, and he also found Glenn and Maggie. Michonne and Andrea got the red carpet treatment, but Glenn and Maggie get captured and tortured and interrogated. And there's probably a bunch of different complicated reasons why, but I think the main reason could just be as simple as the fact that Glenn kept his gun up when Merle lowered his.
It could be a bit of that,
you know,
could be a bit of racism, could be a bit of resentment. Who's to say?
Yeah. I mean, well, it could be racism, but Michonne is black and she's the one that he brought in, you know, without any trouble. So, I mean, then he tried to kill her later. But anyway,
True.
I'm just trying to figure out why, you know, the two groups. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Like, did Merle know that the governor's looking for a blonde mom for Penny. I don't think so.
It was on his to-do list for the day. Find blonde mom.
Be nice to her.
Be
Bring
nice
her
to her. Need wife. Sad face.
So anyway, let's see. But I don't want to get too far off on that because we're here. Oh yeah, he's talking about what happened on the roof in Atlanta. That's, he's holding a grudge about that. Yeah. Takes no responsibility for it himself, even though he was high and waving his gun around and threatening everyone.
Yeah, I don't think Merle's ever really taken responsibility for anything, has he?
No, not one damn thing. Glenn tells him that T-Dog died, and he gets right down in Glenn's face and says, well, I hope he went slow.
Oh, that was nasty. That was so nasty. I was like, oh,
you dick. But he's good, though.
It's good.
He's so
and it's
good
so Merle. Like, if he'd been like, oh, man, I really wanted to see him to extend the hand of forgiveness, I would have been like, what? Do you?
Or even if he'd said, because he was just calling him a slur, and then Glenn says he died, and if he'd said, oh, man, I'm really sorry about that, then that wouldn't be like Merle at all.
Yeah.
Then he rubs his knife hand around Glenn's throat and lips and asks if it feels good when Maggie touches him there. I didn't remember all this at all.
Horrible. So
fucked up. And Maggie can hear it kind of from the other room, hear Glenn screaming and stuff. He's just trying to find Daryl and learn where the camp is, and then Glenn headbutts him. And I like how Merle seemed to kind of admire him for that.
Yeah. That's in character.
Like, oh, you got spunk. And then he starts punching him. And one slight Department of Suspension of disbelief about all this is Glenn is lucky that Merle didn't start cutting off fingers or something, especially since Merle lost his hand and might feel like he's owed a body part or something like that.
I think I remember at the time worrying that they were going to take Glenn's hand because of what happens to Rick in the comics. I remember just being like, oh, will they do this?
Yeah. We've kind of already been doing this, but I want to make it official that while we're doing this rewatch, we're just going to talk about the comic and spoil anything whenever we feel like it.
Yeah.
If you don't want that, if we get enough listeners saying, no, then maybe we'll reconsider. But it's just been coming up a lot, and I want to be able to talk about it if you guys are okay with that. So
it's not like The Ones Who Live were like, it wasn't available everywhere. You can read the comic.
Yeah. It's been around for 20 years now.
It's been around for a while now.
And I think people know, but as soon as they went into Woodbury, it was Rick and Michonne and somebody else, I forget who. And the governor captured them, chopped Rick's hand off, and then Michonne, I think, bit his ear. And then he took Michonne and I'll get to that part later, but it's really bad. So, but here we come back to Merle and Glenn. Some time has passed. It's clear Merle's been torturing him because he's bloody and bruised. And I think the only two torture scenes in the show up to now are with Daryl and Merle, which is interesting. The two torturer brothers. And Glenn says, you can't take us all. There's too many of us. And Merle says, there ain't a pair of nuts between the whole pussy lot of you. So charming.
So delightful. Why don't you?
and Stephen Yeun is so great. He's just bloody and bruised. And I feel like I was just picturing Glenn in the comics. There must have been scenes like this with Glenn.
But then he fucks it up.
Who does?
Glenn, by mentioning Andrea.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And Merle's like, oh, really? Oh. But then you see Glenn realize, I think he knows something.
Yeah.
Then Merle brings the zombie in and, all right, I want you to imagine how I felt on that roof. One hand, losing blood, walkers chomping down on me every step of the way. Last chance, where's your group? And then the fight, which we already talked about, but I just love how he uses the environment, the mattress spring as a barrier with the zombie reaching through, breaking the chair, sticking it through the head with the chair leg or something, and then screaming out after. We kind of already talked about that, but it's just such a great scene. So I don't have a lot of deep things to say about it, but I loved it.
It is one of those where you're just like, it's just good. It's just good.
Yeah. It's so good. And I mean, the rest of the episode I thought was really good too. I love the Milton stuff personally, but this was my favorite part.
I do and I don't. I think it's slow. I think I like it less because I know that ultimately it leads nowhere, both in terms of the show and Milton's character. Like I actually really like Milton, and I really like what he brings to the show. And I think in lots of ways he's kind of a proto Eugene in the show. Like he's a much more believable Eugene in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's something
Bit
about those
clueless.
scenes. Yeah, I'm just finding them frustrating on a rewatch. Although Milton does mention that he telecommuted to work, which in 2011, he was ahead of the curve.
He's ahead
there.
of his time.
He was. He truly was.
Yeah. Did you listen to my interview with Dallas Roberts? I forget.
I feel like back in the day I did, yeah.
You did. That was a good one.
He seems cool.
I loved it. Yeah, I remember particularly liking that one. I think I included it in the show notes already, but I would if you're curious, go to podcastica.com. Anyone listening, and search on Dallas Roberts. That was a great one. So, next point. Michonne meets Rick and his group.
And it's love at first sight. Never a doubt in anyone's mind that these two crazy kids would end up together.
I don't know if I was thinking there was heat between them back
not
then.
At this point, I
don't think so, but I do now. I almost do now. 2 points in particular. What's really interesting to me about all of this sequence is seeing Michonne meet everybody for the first time. It's so fun. And noticing what she picks up about them. Because I remember even back then, it was like, wow, she wouldn't say a word to the governor, and yet she's very forthcoming with them right away. How come she trusts them? And now I feel like I think I'm even more clear on why. First, just seeing her right, where she was, picking up right where she was outside the prison fence. I, of course, can't get bad lip reading out of my head. When the zombie comes up next to her.
Oh, bad lip reading. You really ruined everything for us.
Really
did.
You
just so much better.
Just trivialized all of this. And then she passes out, probably from loss of blood from being shot by Merle. And so making Merle feel suddenly like, oh, wow, he's really the bad guy right now.
Yeah.
And then Carl shoots a couple of the zombies as they're bearing down on Michonne. And I'm just like, oh, first thing Carl did when he met Michonne was save her life. And he really did, I think they would have bitten her. So Carl saved her life before she had a chance to ever save his. Then Rick carries her in, and I'm thinking, oh, he's carrying his future wife.
Over the threshold.
Yeah, that's right. Of the prison. It's such a metaphor.
Yeah.
But, so then she goes for her sword when he lays her down, and he's like, we're not going to hurt you unless you try something stupid first. All right. And Daryl comes in. Rick, who's the hell's this? I just love that's his first thing he ever said about Michonne. And then when Rick and Michonne, they're kind of face to face, and he goes, you want to tell us your name? And she's silent. And he goes, you want to tell us your name? And then she holds his gaze. And right there, she just seemed to have a smile behind her eyes. And I felt some heat there. Something, maybe they're just sizing each other up, but they're really connected there.
Yeah. I agree.
And then, he says he can treat her wound, and she says, I didn't ask for your help. And he says, doesn't matter. Can't let you leave. And I thought at first, oh, is that like a Randall type thing? We can't let you leave because we don't trust you yet. But soon later, he says he'll tend to her wound, give her food and water, and send her on her way. So I think when he said can't let you leave, he just meant you're in no condition to leave.
Yeah.
He's
it's definitely ambiguous from her perspective, but I agree with your interpretation.
He should have been clearer about that before locking someone up.
But I think it's like there's this line in Lord of the Rings. Sorry, I always love when my ways of relating to the world are like there's this line in Lord of the Rings where they
it's a big trilogy.
It's a big trilogy. There's a lot there. Where they first meet Aragorn, or Strider as he is then, and I think it's Frodo says to Sam, I think an enemy would look fairer and feel fouler. And I was thinking about that today because, I mean, this is what I wrote. So
appropriate.
I did not write the Lord of the Rings quote. I wrote, prison looks shite, good people. Woodbury looks good, shite people. So that's my interpretation of it.
Same thing.
But it's that thing, like the prison's rough and ready, but the group of people in it are good people, and that kind of shines through the dirt of it. Whereas Woodbury, because we then cut to Woodbury and we see like kids on bikes, and it's all very 1950s idyllic.
Yeah.
I loved what Jim said about that interview with David Morrissey in his scrapbook and having the like Americana against the images of the Vietnam War. So that was brilliant. And yeah, you get that image of safety and no broken windows, but underneath it, it's rotten. Whereas the prison's disgusting, but the people are doing their best, you know?
Right. And in Lord of the Rings, you meet Strider, and he's this rough-hewn type of guy. And you hear about when Sauron came in, which actually, spoilers, but we're now seeing in Rings of Power, and he's very fair at first.
Yeah.
And then, so tell me what you thought about the Two Towers. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's actually my favorite one out of the three, for your information. But yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, I like the Two Towers.
Oh, the movie or the book?
Both.
Or both. Oh, that's
you meet Faramir. He's the best character.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's my favorite. Okay. He's not as good in the film.
So what about
anyway.
Frodo? No, I'm just kidding. So Rick sees that Carol is alive. And this is such a beautiful scene.
So nice.
What I love when Glenn Mazzara came in is he realized that he should let the actors do the work sometimes and not give them a lot of dialogue. And that's so important here. For one, you just feel the emotion between them crying and hugging. And then just a look between Carol and Rick, and she realizes Laurie's dead with no dialogue. And then she says, I'm sorry. And it's really sad. And then the other reason that that's important is because Michonne is watching all of this. And I think this is where she decides that she likes them and can trust them. Maybe she already was feeling that with Rick, but really here it seems to make an impact on her, because when there's a lot of talking, words are easier to deceive with than body language and emotion. And she feels these people and trusts them. And now, because of that, thinking about all this, it's clear to me why she doesn't trust the governor. Because one thing we've said about him is he's really hard to read. And it feels like there's a lot hidden underneath. With David Morrissey's doing a great job playing that, where he's not showing his cards at all. No. And his feelings seem buried. And so it seems like he's hiding something, you know? And so then now it's much more believable to me that Michonne would not trust him and would trust Rick and everybody.
Yeah. I think so, because it is notable that she opens up to them so quickly, but I think it's almost the release as well for her of being able to tell people her suspicions and what this guy is like without, because she's been talking to a brick wall with Andrea for good reason, as you pointed out. Like, there are good reasons why Andrea is interpreting things the way she is, but from Michonne's perspective, she's like, she's not had a great week.
And, you know, with Andrea, what she's getting from the governor is
sex,
this heat. Is you know, chemistry and interest, and that's a feeling too. And what she doesn't know is, and I'm going to get to this more in a later point, but I'll just touch on it now, that he is very good at manipulating people that way. You know, he's a charmer, as Michonne says. He's charming.
Jim Jones type.
About his looks, Jim Jones type. Yeah. So Andrea's not with the governor because of what he's saying either. She's with him because of this heat in between them, and that she's impressed with what he's built and everything. But
anyway, I liked that she mentioned. I like that she mentioned Jim Jones. Again, it was like in season one, season two, where these like the Lord of the Rings audiobook, where you're like, oh, real life. They exist in our world to an extent. And yeah, I think Jim Jones, I was like, when they said that line, I was like, Jason will like that because it's culty.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
because
accurate.
I mean, the thing is, we're so motivated, more motivated to do things by how we feel than what we think a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And cult leaders know how to hijack your feelings and get
Absolutely.
get you hooked in. So then, as you said, she opens up to Rick about what the governor and everything. And then he gets aggravated, Rick, when he finds out that the governor, or someone has Glenn and Maggie, and he grabs at Michonne's leg.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was dumb. She's telling you.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to do that? And then
Rick Grimes doing something rash without thinking? That doesn't sound like Rick.
I mean, it did feel a little bit like you're just grabbing her, get your hands on her.
He just wanted to touch her.
I know. And she goes, don't you ever touch me again, which she later changes her mind on.
Yeah, quite spectacularly.
That's why we have RJ. And then she says, find him yourself. And I'm like, yeah, see, you blew it, Rick. But then they have another moment of heat, I feel like, facing off. And then she just starts telling him about Woodbury.
Yeah.
So
it's the silver
that's funny.
fox eyes. She's just like, oh, how
Yeah,
could I lie to these baby blues? Like, come
that's
on.
right. And I know a lot of people listening to the podcast are like, yep.
It is so ironic though. Like, so here's the thing. Like, I feel with Rick and Michonne, like I kind of did about, sorry, Monica and Chandler and Friends, which is like, did they always? I don't think they maybe always planned this, but it makes a hell of a lot of sense. And I was watching
If
this
you go back.
episode, like, did they plan this? I mean, it's obviously not a rom-com meet cute. It's obviously not like that's not what this is. But there's a lot about it, like you say, that when you read it back, you're like, oh yeah. And one of the things for me is like Rick literally coming out into the light, holding Judith and being with Carl, and then Michonne is standing there. It's like, Laurie, who? I mean, it's not because he sees her again a couple of times this season, whatever. But there's something about that, like she walks in at that moment where that has impacted him, and it just works. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's almost for sure that they had not planned it, but I'm starting to have a little bit of doubt. Like maybe they did kind of have the seed of that idea right from the start.
See, I don't. I think it all hangs on when they decided that Andrea was going to be killed off, because I do believe that they were trying to play the Rick and Andrea long game, which is the comic ending for Rick and Andrea. But as soon as Andrea was killed off, it was sort of like the field's wide open, you know?
Yeah. And then Michonne ended up getting some of Andrea's storylines from the comic too later on.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, next. Governor is into dominance.
Ooh.
So I know. So we already kind of knew, I'll say from my point of view, I knew cognitively, like on a cognitive level, that the governor was obsessed with control.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode made me really feel it. There was one scene early where he did something and really seemed to get off on it. What did he do? Kill somebody or something? I forget. He had a little psycho moment. But anyway, for the most part, because he keeps things kind of hidden, that you don't feel it so much as just think this is what he's all about. But here, I mean, I think that's because when his emotions come in is when he's being skeezy, you know, or controlling, like when you see the real him, and that's when you really feel him, is when he's being dominating.
Yeah. He's like an alligator. I don't know. He kind of goes about just below the surface and then suddenly. Yeah.
I like that. And I think he has two ways of getting people to submit to him, through charm and through force. And he chooses based on the situation. With Andrea, he really poured on the charm, and we see her in the bedroom, presumably post-coital, putting on her, shimmying into her pants, and she's giving off this giddy honeymoon phase vibes. And I gotta say, she's a sexy lady. Hashtag attracted to Andrea.
Hashtag respectfully attracted to Andrea. I think Laurie Holden looks better.
Not objectifying in a not objectifying way, but
I'm always obsessed with her hair this season. Like her curls are so perfect. I'm always looking at them like, who in Woodbury is doing the hair? Because I would like to go to that salon because it looks great.
I used to actually kind of have a crush on Laurie Holden for a while there. I remember because we did 2 interviews on this podcast, and the first one was right before the season 1 finale, and I used to do interviews over Skype, but it was audio only. And so when I rang her up, she came on video, and I was surprised. I was like, oh, like. It kind of took me aback for a second, and I told her, I usually do these audio. Want to just keep the video on though? And she's like, yeah. And she was just super cool and fun and everything. And then one time right before a panel, because I'd done a few panels with her and another interview. And one time right before a panel, I remember we were backstage and we were just getting ready to go on stage. And she looked at me and said something like, I'm really glad you're here. And I was like melting. And I don't know how much she remembered that it was me on this podcast. You know, it's hard to tell how much they actually remember you because they meet so many people. Oh, yeah. But we did a second interview at the towards the end of this season 3. It's episode 95. And I remember at that point, she was feeling kind of bad because of the fan reaction to her and also how she was treated by the writers and how her character went out and everything. And she was really open about it on this podcast. And I was trying to be really supportive of her and all that. So that one stands out for that reason. It almost felt like a therapy session.
It does sound like she was pretty hard done by all the changes in season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think just thinking of him as this pretty boy charming Jim Jones type, it makes me feel like, you know, she's not seeing him for what he is. He's a manipulator. She thinks he's just into her because they have this great chemistry, but he's trying to get something from her. And so he's total fucker. And it also makes me wonder how many of the women of Woodbury has the governor seduced. I wouldn't think that, except Michonne calling him a Jim Jones type. And we saw another woman in his bed.
Yeah, you mentioned this last week. And yeah. I hadn't twigged that.
And it was the woman apparently who had been showing Michonne and Andrea around. And so I do think he's grooming Andrea to be this mother figure to Penny.
Yeah.
So I think has a special place in mind for her, but I do wonder, and then what we see with Maggie, I wonder if he's just going around sleeping with all the women I mean, who cares? It doesn't really matter, but it's just.
I think what was really interesting, what you're saying about force and control is like, he does and says exactly the same things with Andrea as he does with Maggie when he holds her and says it's okay. And it's just so sinister to see the exact same move in 2 completely different contexts that really give me the chills. And
that's where it's in the 2 contexts. One is charm and one is force, you know, with Andrea, it's charm, with Maggie, it's force. But when you think about those 2 side by side, that with both of them, he clasped their head to his chest, stroked their hair and said it would be okay.
Yep.
It's the same thing for him. It's getting people to submit to him and do what he wants them to do.
Yeah. And when he did it to Maggie, it was about dominating Glenn as well. It was about using that power over him.
Yeah. Well, let me go through that. So Merle fails to get any information from Glenn. So the governor goes into question Maggie. In the comic, it was Michonne after the governor chopped off Rick's hand. Michonne bit off part of his ear, and then he took her to a room alone. And this is going to trigger some people, but I'm just going to say it quickly. He brutally beat, raped, and tortured her, and it was over a long period of time as well. Really awful. Yeah, horrible. I remember Charlie Adler said he didn't like drawing it. He was like, that was pretty dark. It was the one thing that he was like, I think, I'm sure he didn't like drawing this. I remember maybe it was both, but he also didn't like drawing when Michonne took her revenge. By like going in and scooping the governor's eyes out with a spoon. Yep. And stuff like that, shown in graphic detail in the comic. But fucking deserved it. Yeah. Anyway, so we were wondering if the governor would do that to Michonne in the show, because we knew the comic. And then when this started happening, I was like, oh, is he going to do that to Maggie? And this is, I think, supposed to represent that section of the comic. Yeah. But they decided to dial it back. It's still shitty as fuck, but it's not like what he did in the comic, where he, like I said, it's like something out of Saw. Yeah. So, and he does kind of half-heartedly, but try the charm route at first with her. He's more or less friendly. He wants to know where her people are, says they'll be okay. Yeah, right. He's probably going to kill them, like he kills all threats. But it's like, you know, I was thinking about why he killed those soldiers and everything. We've talked about it before, but there's a parallel maybe with the CRM where they have the A's and the B's. The A's are the people who are independent minded and potentially rebellious. The B's are more docile and compliant. So maybe that's part of the governor wants to take in B's, but kill the A's. Yeah. I think that makes sense. So Maggie refuses to say anything. So then the governor takes on this intimidating tone, orders her to stand up, take off her shirt, or he'll bring Glenn's hand in, takes off her bra, and then I think he took off his belt and started walking towards her with a sleazy grin on his face, touched her hair, smelled her. So then he says, so you're going to talk? And she said very calmly, do whatever you're going to do and go to hell. So she's expecting that he's going to sexually assault her, which he is really, but fully, I just think that, the governor trying to bring his daughter back is misguided, but not evil. But what makes him evil is this getting off on controlling and dominating people. And he really reminded me of Negan here.
Oh, yeah.
Negan likes to do this kind of a thing too.
Yeah, he really does. And just because he
used to, but now he just says he did it because it was the world that he was the monster the world needed or whatever.
I hate it when the world makes me have a harem of coercively entrapped women. It's so annoying, I look back and I think,
faces,
why did I do that? It's
necessary sometimes.
Sometimes I just
you shouldn't feel bad.
Man, that was a bad. But you know what? I met this kid, really liked them. I think I'm going to really make a go of it.
I was going to kill him once, but
no,
a tiger came in, so
he's changed me in a deep way.
So anyway, then the governor and Merle walk poor shirtless Maggie into this area with Glenn, and the governor threatens to shoot Glenn, and so Maggie tells them where the camp is, and that's when the governor starts like kissing her on the head and rubbing her hair and everything. And I think, yes, this is a show of dominance to Glenn and to Maggie, but also to the governor's men who are there.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of them probably don't like this, and he's just like, this is what I fucking do, and you're going to accept it. Yeah,
I do what I want. I get what I want. Yeah.
So then later, I'm almost done with this point, but when Andrea's upset about how things went with this Mr. Coleman guy, the governor strokes her hair the same way he did to Maggie, and it just gives it that feeling of, I'm dominating you too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anything else to say about any of that before I move on?
Just that what he does to Maggie is deplorable, and even though it doesn't go as far as an actual kind of physical assault, it's still a sexual assault, and it's still not nice. And I think they explore the kind of ongoing repercussions of that this season a little bit. And I always thought it was quite interesting that the show chose to do that. And I always kind of respected them because this came at a time when rape was being used as a storytelling device in quite a lot of mainstream prestige shows.
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and I always kind of respected that in this episode, at least, they didn't indulge that, what I think can be quite weak storytelling, and at the expense of women's kind of strength in storylines. I think sometimes that's just a lazy way of invoking trauma for a female character, but here they managed to explore the nuances of coercion and assault and power dynamics in a way that is that's really disturbing, but without that kind of gratuity, I think. And I think there's a point, I'm sure, in later episodes that we'll come to where Glenn's worried that she was raped and hasn't told him. And it causes a lot of tension in their relationship and the way that Maggie processes this trauma, because she's so vulnerable and it's so fucked up what happens to her. It's really unforgivable and beyond the pale. And you're right, he completely gets off on it. He completely thrives in that position. And in a way, here's what I'll say. I think that the fact Maggie didn't respond in the way that he was maybe expecting might have changed what he intended to do there. And I'm not saying there is a right or wrong way to behave in these situations, or that people who behave a certain way do or don't deserve what happens to them. But I think Maggie saying, when it became clear that Maggie wasn't going to, I don't know, fight or struggle, it seemed to change something in him, and he seemed to change his mind, which goes to show...
Maybe. We don't know for sure.
We don't know for sure. And either way, he's a sick fuck. So that's right. All you need to know.
I wanted to punch him in the face. I really felt anger there. Like, I just want to take you and, kick you into a puddle of mud and stomp you or something.
It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah. And poor Glenn and poor Maggie. She doesn't get her shirt back.
I don't understand how anyone can get off on dominating someone like that in any way. It just really upsets me.
Yeah, It's
Fuck, I
horrific.
hate it.
And yeah, poor Maggie doesn't even get her shirt back. It's just so, ugh. I don't know. It's just gross. Horrible, 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 horrible.
It's a traumatic moment for both of them. And Glenn, because he's like feeling helpless that he can't protect her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He really wants to.
And he gives her his t-shirt, which is so nice. Yeah.
Okay. Next one is self-sabotage. This is a shorter one. The way the governor, like I said, if the governor had just wanted to revive his daughter, then he wouldn't be, maybe he could get people to help him or talk him out of it or whatever. Yeah. But, like if he was just honest about what he was doing and more collaborative with his people about how to handle outsiders, but the flaws of needing control and dominance and keeping everything to himself and being a killer is what makes him an antagonist. And in a way, it's what makes him human, because he could achieve his goals without hurting anyone. But a lot of times we're really our own worst enemy, I think.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about shows after like the year 2000. They stopped having, for the most part, just mustache twirling villains and just try to explore the psychology of people and how we all trip ourselves up in some ways, and some people who are just more extreme do worse things. So the governor is impressed that Glenn and Maggie's group, who she says are of 10 people, have cleared the prison, and that in my mind makes it just 100% likely that he would just kill them. I mean, we know that he goes to the prison and tries to kill them.
He wants
later.
that.
Yeah. And when Daryl and Rick and everybody are approaching Woodbury, I like how they cut back and forth to the governor questioning Merle's loyalty. Like, oh, your brother's with them. Who are you loyal to? And that's the question for Merle this season. And I was thinking Merle did a little bit of self-sabotage here too, because by forcefully taking Maggie and Glenn, he set up this adversarial relationship between his group, the Woodburyans, and Daryl's group. He kind of forced this fight. Now he has to deal with the fact that the governor wants to kill Daryl's people. Yep. And he may be called on to hurt his own brother. You know, I bet he didn't think that through.
One thing he does have in common with Rick, perhaps he did not think this through.
Right. And the governor, like, if you treat everyone like a threat and like an adversary, then some of those ones who wouldn't have been will be. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. Some
people are threats no matter what you do, but some people aren't unless you take them into your dungeon and torture them.
Very true.
My mom used to tell me that. So next one, number 5, the group goes to save Maggie and Glenn. Just a few notes about the sequence. First off, Oscar and Axel are like eager to help with this.
They volunteer.
I felt like that was a little bit of Department of Suspension of Disbelief. I mean, I know you want to prove that you're
Oscar
on board. Yeah, but put your life in danger? That's extreme.
I guess.
And Axel didn't even end up going either, and they didn't really say why, unless I missed it.
Changed his mind.
He's like, I'll go. Oh, wait, I forgot. I have to mop the floor.
Wash my hair.
Beth said she would go, and she didn't go, but I mean, they should not let Beth go on a mission like this.
100%
not. Before he leaves, Rick talks to Carl. He says, if something happens, get everyone in the cells and keep them all safe. Carl says, I will. And Rick says, I know you will. And I just love that moment because it felt like Rick seeing something in Carl or acknowledging something he already knows, that I know you're a protector like me. You know, it's like a lot of us, your kids, take after you, and Carl really takes after Rick, that he's so driven to try to protect everyone. And I don't know, I really like that acknowledgement between the two of them. Sweet. Carl names Judith. I'd totally forgotten that Carl named Judith.
Yeah.
We never talk about that. So
no, it's lovely.
First grade teacher. Yeah. And it's sad too. All these scenes of Carl just make me feel sad that Carl's not around anymore.
Last week's episode where he just lists all these dead women and everyone's like, oh boy, no, that's
this kid. I'd be like, Carl, are you sure you want to name your sister after a dead woman?
Yeah, you sure you want to name her after Jackie, who we didn't really know for that long? Like, yes, okay.
Okay, Carl. I gave Bodhi that I got a floppy bunny in Edinburgh for him, and he named it Fluffles. Fluffles. I thought that was cute.
Not like Jackie or Lori or
Sophia. No. Any dead person that we used to know.
No.
They're driving the Hyundai, I noticed.
Very clean. Who's on cleaning the Hyundai duty? I'd love to know.
I wonder if it's still like product placement or they just have it.
Just like we may as well keep it nice.
Right. But I guess if you see it all dirty and messed up, you'll know that the money's not coming in anymore.
The episode where they set it on fire and like, I don't know, shit on it and stuff.
They're like, this piece of shit.
This fucking crap car.
Slow and it always breaks down.
Amazing.
And then the last part of this sequence, the Zeds swarm them all and they take refuge in this shack, and this guy living there, poor guy, is freaked out, of course. He goes to run out the door, which would have let the zombies in, so Michonne kills him. And then they throw him to the zombies and go out the back, and I'm like, if they just let him out the door and went out the back, it would have been the same effect, except Michonne would have had to kill him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Would have been the exact same thing. Which is why I was like, what was the point of this scene? It was kind of exciting, which maybe is the point, but I also think it was just to give this scene where Michonne kills a guy, so there would be this tension about, oh my God, she killed a guy. She probably had to, but maybe we can't trust her kind of feeling or something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a decisive move and very iconic. Yeah. I did laugh at Daryl's guess Lassie went home with the dead dog. That really made me laugh.
What was it?
When he comes in, there's a smell. It's like a dead fox or something, and then you see it's a dead dog, and he's like, "Guess Lassie went home." It really made me laugh. I was like, I just love that like worst moment for a quip. He's like, "Huh? And it's like, no one, no.
No, Daryl, no one laughed. All.
No.
And then is this my last point? Yeah, Milton's research. So the governor just kind of took Andrea to Milton's lab, and unless it happened off screen, he didn't really explain what it was about, why she was there, what she was supposed to be doing. Do you think he told her on the way over or not?
I don't know. I think probably. I don't think she's on board, regardless of whether he told her or not.
No.
Yeah.
But if he didn't tell her, I hope James doesn't mind me saying this, but it reminds me of how James Fraser would run Walker Stalker, because he would give very little instruction or input, and sometimes that was at first a little frustrating, like, I don't know how you want me to do this, but over time and pretty quickly actually I realized it was awesome, because that just gave me a lot of latitude to run my part of, well, it was panels, how I wanted to do it.
Amazing.
And he would get so much out of people with very little. I was like, how do you do that? I think with Podcastica, I'm the opposite. I micromanage and just suck the joy out of it for people.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Okay, well, thank you. But anyway, I was always impressed with that. So, but I was like, why do you think the governor is showing her this? I have an idea, but I'm curious what you think.
Partly to distract her from everything else that's going on. I think it's partly to kind of get her to buy into this bigger ideal and prep her for the idea of maybe becoming a stepmom to a reanimated.
Yeah. I think that's it.
But what surprised me about this is at no point does Andrea say, like, yo, Milton, we went to the CDC and spoke to an actual doctor who told us the actual science with slides, and it's this, move on.
Yeah.
But
well, she probably, if she was like me, she would have said, Milton, we went to the CDC and the scientist showed us slides and there was like a brainstem or something. And he said some stuff.
I forget. It was really boring and we all got really drunk. After.
We just got really drunk. Yeah.
Milton's like, you went to the CDC? You met Dr. Jenner? And she's like, yeah, but we got shit-faced.
It's kind of like that joke about how, you know, if you went back in time and you'd be like, useless. Like, yeah, we have these like screens that can show you anything. Yeah. How do they work? Satellites?
Something to do with like, I want to say electricity, maybe. Like...
So in the lab, So we see Mr. Coleman, this old man, dying. The governor says, "Thank you for doing this. You're doing us great service." So it sounds like he volunteered to help them experiment with the zombies, which makes me wonder how many of the Woodburyans, I mean, they must know something about this because it's his whole purpose. So we don't really know how much people know and what the governor has said, if anything, about why they're doing this. But as I've said before, it does make sense to me that you would try to understand the zombies better. So,
yeah.
But I wonder if Milton knows about Penny,
I wonder about that. I feel like we might get some nods towards whether he does or doesn't in the next couple of episodes.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've forgotten. So, what is he doing? He says, "I've been trying to determine," Milton that is, "whether trace memory and human consciousness exist after the subject has transformed, but I had no baseline to work off till now." So he's trying to see if there's any humanity left. I looked up trace memory. It's a neuroscientific and psychological concept that refers to the physical and biochemical changes in the brain that represent a memory. When you experience an event or learn something new, your brain forms new connections between neurons, strengthening existing ones. Memory traces can last from a few minutes to a lifetime, depending on factors like emotional significance and frequency of recall. So I think he's just trying to see if there's any humanity left. And then the next step presumably would be to figure out how to amplify it to bring the zombies back,
Yeah.
And he uses this meditation bowl and music, which I think is probably something this guy, Mr. Coleman, likes, this song or whatever, because he asks for it to keep playing as a sort of a cue for a Pavlovian response, so that after he reanimates, maybe that will help trigger him to remember things. Then he asks these questions when he's still alive to sort of establish what the guy knows and remembers.
His name, Milton's name.
Yeah.
Things about his life.
And Andrea's like, when they turn, they become monsters. That's all. Whoever they once were is gone. And, I'm like, well, you don't know that for sure. It's worth studying. But I think she's saying that because she killed her own zombie sister. And if she then found out that, actually...
Can you imagine? If you'd waited an hour for her, she would have
wait an hour and they come back. Duh.
Yeah, they come back after that. No, you just have to ask them what their name is. Like, what?
Ask them their name and play a song and they'll come back. So then the guy dies and reanimates and fails miserably all the questions, even though Milton just seems to show the folly of a lot of scientists who see what they hope to see.
He just
he's moving his fingers.
Release. They're like, no, buddy, no
dude. And then he takes off his restraints. The Zed lunges at him, just like Andrea said. And he said, "I know what happens if the subject comes after us. That's what you're here for." And I'm like, I didn't know that's what she was there for. Did she know that?
Did Andrea know that?
She does end up killing it very quickly, which is good. And then I love how he's like, at first I was like, does he realize he was about to die? And I think he does, but he just sort of tries to collect himself and he goes, "Oh, okay, I think I'd like to record my findings while they're fresh." And I'm like, Milton, what are your findings? Zombies are fucked up.
Zombies are fucked up. Nearly died. Sad face. Like,
but so the reason why I like this stuff is because I liked the idea that the zombies might retain something, and I've talked about this probably way too many times, but the show shifted on that. When Morgan's zombie wife came up to the door, tried to open the door, they were getting at that there was something still there. And Romero always said there was too. That's why the zombies went to the mall in Dawn of the Dead. But I read that Kirkman didn't like that, or whatever the case. After the pilot, I don't think any other scenes seemed to show that the zombies did have any memories. And these episodes with Milton, especially this one, seemed to confirm that the zombies are monsters, like Andrea said, memoryless, inhuman. And I like the idea that they might have something, but we know after this they never did on The Walking Dead. And I think for this storyline, them being memoryless and just monsters adds to the tragedy and craziness of the governor's story, because he's persistent in trying to bring his zombie daughter back, even though the evidence says there's nothing there. Yeah. And a lot of people get hurt in the process.
It's not dissimilar to Jenner. I mean, Jenner, we meet him at the end of the journey where he realizes that nothing can be done. But the governor is still in that space of looking for hope. I mean, I don't think Jenner ever thinks he's bringing his wife back, but he's looking for something.
Yeah. And like I said before, it's a bit like Herschel and his family with their family in the barn, but they don't have that whole control freak killer side.
No, they do not.
Maybe Sean did. We never met him.
Oh, Sean. We never knew. I think Jimmy did. He just kept it hidden.
Yeah, killer. And then later when the governor's holding Andrea, right after she comes back upset, and she told him how it went, and we can see by the expression on his face, he's not happy that the experiment failed. No,
he's not. He's really not. There's a darkness there.
So that's all I had about the episode, except for a few notes. Before I go into notes, is there anything else you wanted to say about it?
No, I just have some little notes too. Those are the points I would have hit, I think.
Go ahead with the notes then.
All right. Michelle. Who's Michelle? Michonne is amazed that they cleared the prison. Again, great little group. There's a nice moment with Herschel giving Michonne stitches. And I don't know, Herschel's always a good ambassador for the group because he's such a nice grandpa. Like, he's such
I don't think he even had any lines, did he?
No, he's just patiently, diligently doing his stuff. Rick thanks Daryl for stepping up, and Daryl says it's what we do. I thought that was a nice moment. Rick saying formation, no gunfire, shows how well trained the group kind of are together.
Short hands.
Yeah. And it's Maggie who cracks when they threaten Glenn. She tells him about the prison. And I don't blame her. I would have done the same thing.
He probably would have been dead in 1 second.
Exactly. When I said I found the Milton bits boring, Peter quipped that it's like watching paint die, which I thought was quite funny. So yeah, I enjoyed that one.
That is very good.
I was like, "Yep, that's like giddy."
New Yorker review caliber statement there.
He just went, yes, watching paint die. I was like,
tell him I said bravo.
I will.
Even though I don't agree.
I was like, I'm shilling that for the pod. I'm like, yes.
That's good.
I also have some, IMDb was quite crap for this episode, and I have some timeline, but I'll do your notes first.
Okay. Maggie tells the governor her group has 10 people, and I was trying to figure out who they are. We have Maggie, Glenn, Beth, that's 3, Herschel's 4, Rick is 5, Carl 6, Daryl 7, Axel is 8, Oscar is 9.
Judith?
Oh, Judith. Yeah, that's the 10th one.
Yeah, she's going to be good in a fight. I mean, she will. I mean, just not yet.
She's not. Yeah, she'll be damn
master
good.
That holding her own head up.
I couldn't fit because I'm like, she thinks Carol's dead, so she's wrong, but I think you're exactly right. And that reminds me of this time I was driving down the highway in the carpool lane because I had baby Nico in the back.
Yeah.
And in California,